My name is Emily. I'm 34 years old. I live in a modest apartment in Paris with my husband, Daniel. From the outside, we look like the picture of a perfect couple. He's a successful architect, and I've always been passionate about art, working as a gallery curator. We don't have children. Our life together has been calm, predictable, comfortable. But it's been years since I felt truly alive. When we first moved to Paris, I was enchanted by everything: the lights, the culture, the endless streets filled with stories waiting to be told. Daniel and I were so in love. We'd stroll along the Seine at night, talk about everything and nothing, sharing secrets and dreams. I remember the first time he took me to the Eiffel Tower, how he held my hand as if it was the most sacred thing in the world. That was 5 years ago. Now, Daniel comes home late, if at all. We barely speak. The silence in our apartment is deafening. I cook dinner, set the table, and wait. But when he walks in, he's already lost in his thoughts. He checks his phone, we eat in silence, and then he goes to bed without saying a word. No affection, no conversation, just the same routine, day after day. I've tried. I really have. I planned surprise date nights, bought him little gifts, and even wore that black dress he once loved. But nothing changed. He'd smile at me, a cold, distant smile, and say, "Thanks, babe. Maybe next time we'll have more fun." And then came Julien. I met him at an art exhibition one rainy evening. I was looking for something to fill the emptiness I'd been feeling. Julien was different, charming, attentive, and kind. He was the type of man who looked at you as if he was truly interested in what you had to say. We spoke for hours about art, life, and everything in between. It felt so easy, so natural. We exchanged numbers that night, promising to meet up again. I didn't think much of it at first, but Julien soon became a constant presence in my life. We would meet for coffee, talk about exhibitions, and share our thoughts. He made me feel important, special. It wasn't just the attraction. It was the way he made me feel seen. I didn't mean for it to go further. I told myself we were just friends. But the more I saw him, the more I realized how badly I craved connection, intimacy, something I hadn't felt in years with Daniel. Julien made me feel wanted. He listened to me in a way I hadn't experienced in so long. One evening, after a particularly silent dinner with Daniel, I texted Julien, "Can I come over?" The moment I walked into his apartment, I knew there was no turning back. The night we spent together was intense, passionate, and unlike anything I had experienced in a long time. But the next morning, I felt hollow. Guilt poured over me like a cold wave, and yet I couldn't stop thinking about how alive I had felt. It wasn't just about Julien. It wasn't even about the affair. It was about what had been missing from my life for so long. The feeling of being truly seen, truly wanted. I realized how much I had been starving for that connection. But the worst part was that I wasn't the only one who had been deceived. A week later, Julian and I were having coffee at a little cafe in Le Marais when he casually mentioned his wife, Camille. I froze. I couldn't breathe. My heart pounded in my chest as I listened to him talk about her, describing her as kind, intelligent, someone who worked in publishing. And then it hit me. I wasn't the only one living a lie. Julien had a wife, Camille, the very same woman I had met at a gallery opening months ago. She was beautiful, graceful, and I had admired her from afar. Little did I know, she was living the same quiet agony I was. She didn't know, of course, but the weight of that knowledge pressed heavily on my chest. I tried to tell myself that it didn't matter, that I could stop seeing Julien, end the affair, and everything would go back to normal. But the truth was, nothing could go back to the way it was. The night I told Daniel the truth, I was shaking. I expected him to yell, to demand answers, but he didn't. He just looked at me, his face pale, his eyes empty. He didn't say anything for a long time, and then he whispered, "Was he better than me?" "No," I replied, my voice trembling. "But he made me feel something I haven't felt in years." Daniel didn't cry. He didn't raise his voice. He simply stood there, staring at me with a look I couldn't quite place. Was it anger, betrayal, or something else entirely? I didn't know. A week later, Daniel moved out. No shouting, no accusations, just silence. He said he needed space, that he wasn't sure what we were anymore. I didn't blame him. I had destroyed everything. But the thing was, it wasn't just the affair. It was everything that had led up to it. The years of neglect, the slow, steady erosion of our relationship. Julien and I stopped seeing each other. I told him I needed time to figure out who I was without being someone's wife or someone's secret lover. I didn't want to be in the middle of another messy situation, especially when I was still grappling with the mess I had created. Now, 6 months later, I'm living in a small apartment in the 11th arrondissement, far from the life I once knew. Daniel and I haven't spoken much. He's moved on, and I'm trying to find a way to move forward. Some days, I still miss him. Not the man he became, but the man I once thought he was. Other days, I feel relieved. I'm not carrying the weight of a lie anymore. But it's not easy. I still think about Camille. I wonder if she knows. I wonder if she feels the same emptiness I once did. And then, when I remember her smile, her warm presence at that gallery opening, I wonder if she'll ever forgive me. The truth is, I don't know what comes next. I don't know if I'll ever love again or if I'll be able to forgive myself. But I do know this. The price of living a lie was much higher than I ever imagined. This is not a love story. It's a story of loss, betrayal, and maybe, just maybe, redemption.